Alright, here we are again for another update on the Legend of Zelda Oracle of Secrets, my ROM hack, which as you can see there has now been in development in some form for over a decade. That wouldn't be the most accurate thing to say, but at this point, I think that talking over how long it's been is kind of pointless. I'm just going to jump right into where things are at right now and what I've been doing over the past 2 years or so. So a lot of this has been spent actually dealing with tooling, and so I'm going to get into that in a little bit. The difference between Hyrule Magic, and we have a new editor now, ZScream, that I have actually been moving to making, like Oracle of Secrets development has been completely on ZScream. And just because of some like legacy issues with Oracle of Secrets assembly code, certain hacks that are in the game, there is, there's just some limitations to how much I can use ZScream, but I'm also going to be working and contributing to the code. There's a new version out that people can use, and I'm going to actually start a tutorial series on ZScream as the new editor for the community. But basically, there's just certain things that cannot be saved with ZScream with the way it handles saving over Oracle of Secrets until I figure out just kind of which specific parts of the code. But map editing in particular has been all done in ZScream, and that's helped basically finish most of the light world. So if there's anything I could tell you today, most of the light world is finished. This area is all done, that's done, this is done, all these little in-betweens are done. There's some assembly code to be written for a Lost Woods area. This is all done, this is all done. The main thing in the light world that needs to be done is the Snow Mountain area. So there's a dungeon there that's in progress. The dungeon's basically done, but the overworld needs to be finished. I'm going to get into that too. But the big thing that I did in 2021, I managed to do is a brand new menu. So I'll show that to you now. So this is the new Oracle Secrets menu. It was coded in assembly completely from scratch, using a lot of resources online and help from other ROM hackers, people who have worked on, other hacks in the community and are very knowledgeable. So we have this new menu with new items. These items are not yet implemented. They're ideas I have, not necessarily guaranteed, particularly like the Deku and Goron mask. Those are pretty ambitious items, and depending on kind of how quickly I want to get this hack out the door, whether or not those get done is we'll see. Right now they're just the medallions. Those are the medallion items. Bunny Hood, definitely realistic, just putting a sprite on Link, making him a little faster. That'll be easy enough. Stone Mask replaces the mirror, not the mirror, I mean the magic cape. So this will be good. I think I'll have some specific NPCs that respond to this, so they won't be able to see Link when he has a stone mask on. I think that'll be a unique kind of way to switch up the gameplay and have it still be fundamentally similar to the magic cape. We still have our feather and those items. And with this menu, as you can see, you can actually scroll left and right. So there is native scrolling, and on this screen you'll be able to see things having to do with your quest, where you're located at, your name, how many deaths you've incurred, the scrolls, which will be basically what replaces the maps in dungeons. There are no actual maps, but you'll be able to do like a collectible scroll that will lead into something later in the game. So as you can see, Wayward Village, like the area name changes. I'll have the playtime listed. There's still some stuff left to do with the menu. There's still a couple bugs here and there, like particularly with which item shows in the HUD. I think I want to redesign the HUD. This is based on the old Parallel Worlds HUD, or like the kind of amalgamated Parallel Worlds HUD that Khan did. And there's still some stuff left to fix in the code. I have it up on my GitHub in case anybody's like curious and they want to look at it. But it's also not too extensible yet to another hack. But it's still, if you have the propensity to learn assembly, you could probably figure out what's going on. That also depends on the quality of the comments I leave behind. So there's the menu, but what does that really say about the game progression? In terms of the game, I've been working on like a little sheet of like what's left to do, and I can update that stuff on my website in the coming days as I'm working on the tutorial and also working on this hack, because I definitely have a lot more time. I say that all the time, like in the past. I'm like, I got a lot more time to work on this, but like for real now, I actually I got an internship at Google, and so I'm out like in the New York City area doing that, and now I actually have like real free time. Before I was, working part time while going to school, so finding time to hack was getting more difficult than ever. Um, but now it's like I got weekends. Like I'm recording this on a Sunday. I actually have time to hack. I've had time to work on ZScream, the editor, as well as we have a community group hack that's in the works that I've also been contributing to, and there'll be more information on that. I think I'll do like a teaser video of some sort for it because we have pretty decent part of the overworld built, but I wouldn't expect or wouldn't worry about that influencing Oracle of Secrets development because ultimately I'm only contributing a small amount to the overall like group hack and what goes into that. Um, but it's still something I'm involved in. So this guy's here. I've been actually editing this desert area recently, so there are some things that are still a bit out of place that need to be adjusted. Um, but it's a lot better now with ZScream. You have like more dynamic editing with the 32 by 32 tile limitation basically gone. Now you can do like full 16 by 16 tile designs, and I'll get more into that in the tutorial. But yeah, so we have most of the light world done, like I talked about earlier, and in terms of the dungeons, we have basically 1 through 6, because the main game is going to be 7 dungeons. You progress through 7 dungeons, then you have a final dungeon, and there's still going to be a dark world, and instead of having like 3 pendants starting off the quest, those are going to be things you can kind of tackle at certain points in the story. You collect all those pendants, and they'll ultimately lead to you getting the strongest sword. So rather than it being like 3 pendants into the Master Sword and into 7 crystals, you're immediately set off on your quest to find these, in this case, these 7 little essences of the Triforce. It's kind of just like the working item I've got going for it. And you can pick up the pendants along the way, and rather than in the original Link to the Past, the Master Sword was the second sword and you upgraded it over time, this will actually be the strongest sword in the game. And there'll be additional upgrades and things that make it worth it that you take the time. So those are going to be considered shrines rather than like dungeons. They'll be shorter in nature, more puzzle oriented. Those are all started and basically laid out. Same with, like I said, first 4 main dungeons completely done. Maybe some slight like QA, but bug testing. 5 and 6, the Ice Mansion, which I was talking about with the snow area, basically done. Still needs like the boss chamber and some key stuff worked out. Sunken City, a lot closer even. That's like a water-based dungeon. That one's basically complete as well, but just needs the boss chamber laid out and things of that nature done for it. And then the Phantom Ship, which I've teased lots, that dungeon has not even been started in the game. So I have a lot of paper, I've had a lot of ideas over the years of how it's going to work, but it's one of those things where like not only the Phantom Ship, but also the final dungeon, the Temple of the Secrets, those are obviously, I want those to be good dungeons, and I've got ideas for them, but I'm really going to, over the coming weeks, like really stab into those, get those dungeons out of the way, finish up the Dark World as well, because that's basically close to being done. The region, like, to the east, by the Temple of Secrets itself still needs some work, but like the areas surrounding each shrine, the unique areas, and the graphics that are going into those are basically done. So a lot of it is just like putting together what I've created here, just finally putting the finishing touches on everything, because there's so much work, so many years put into this thing. It's not like it's like nothing. Like there is a lot. At this point, you can explore the overworld basically completely, and it is a pretty it's a fluid experience. There's still some issues like in terms of like just where I place sprites and stuff, but that's not too big of a deal. So we've got most of the main quest ready to get stitched together, and then in terms of those additional items, how long it takes me to develop those and whether or not those get included in like a main release is still, up in the air, because I want to have a second quest for the game. There's a decent amount of the Dark World that isn't actually being used for anything. It just didn't make sense within the quest to use that area. See, there's one of those issues. There are, I've noticed that with that map. If you actually transition to certain areas with overlays on them while I have this map, there have been some issues with it. So I actually keep like the map source code separate from the game itself. So as you can see here, this is like the game with the map graphics applied, or the new menu graphics. I think I said map before. New menu graphics applied to it, but not the new menu yet. So this is like the old menu, but this is just so that I can still play the game in its proper form. This is how we can fly places and go and see things that I've worked on. But there's still bugs with the menu code that causes it to just crash in certain places. So like this ship still needs to be done. The dungeon needs to be done. But yeah, I was thinking about a second quest. Those masks, the Deku mask, the Goron mask, those could potentially become a part of the second quest. I'm thinking I want to try to get like the main quest done before the end of the summer or at least the end of the year, and then kind of judge from there whether or not those items are even worth doing, whether or not it's worth putting the time into them, because I still have the menu to work out the bugs on. I still have the dungeons to finish, and I have more resources with the Zelda hacking community. They're more involved. I could potentially get helped on that stuff, but also it's kind of a thing of like, I spent so long on this game. Maybe if I have these new ideas for items and stuff, I could save those for future projects or just make them one-off things rather than tying them to the release of this game, which has already so much content in it. I'm kind of almost forcing it a bit, shoving more stuff into it. So, kind of give me your, I'm looking for feedback on this, whether or not I should, push just to get the main game out, get these dungeons finished as quick as possible, or try to spend more time fleshing out like items and ideas in the second quest, or even like an idea I've had is, see, I'm really not making my game look good here with a bunch of sprites, like not where they should be. But in my defense, like I said, ZScream is good about saving my overworld maps, but other data and code is still a bit finicky. So stuff like sprites in their locations, I haven't gone around to like change while I've been working on the map. But yeah, so just your general opinion of like whether or not taking the time to program more custom elements into this hack would improve the experience, or if you think there's probably more than enough content in here, please stop working on this. Save it for another game. Do something like that, because I'll make it a my priority to get the quest done. And then after that, whether or not I put more time into coding like I have with this custom menu, we'll see. We'll make that based off of feedback. But yeah, we're very close. It's really just a matter of time. So if I had to summarize this all, Light World basically done. Dark World super close to being done. Just the region around the final temple needs to be finished up. The ship dungeon and the true like final gauntlet dungeon need to be completely made, and then every other dungeon is started, finished, or kind of somewhere in the middle but close to finish. There's nothing that's like completely empty besides the ship dungeon and the final temple of secrets. So yeah, pester me all you want. I've been getting comments for years. I always get comments, people asking me when the game's going to come out. If there was any time to bug the shit out of me, it's this summer. Bug me nonstop. You can send me emails, you can send me Discord, be involved. Make sure I can't not think about this, because I want to get it done. That's my opinion on things. There's my mouse. And so yeah, so I don't spoil any more content. This is Scoffle, 10, 12 something years in the making of Zelda hacking, signing off.